I don't get why you and the commenters that are, you say that life is imposed, but it's like if someone comes up and gives you a present, maybe it's sealed, you don't know what it is. It's not imposed, you know, because you can easily discard that present. Okay. I mean, and you're talking, I mean, if people, I never use a majority rules kind of thing, but you have, you think we could impose something like sterilization with a sufficient supermajority, at least in principle or theory, right? But I just get the whining about all of these adults saying it's imposed, and I was addicted by the time I was imposed. Addicts can commit suicide, right? Being addicted to heroin doesn't interfere with your ability to commit suicide. Maybe you can't think about suicide when all you want is your fix, but then when you get your fix, and then it feels good and you don't want to, hey, that's your problem. You can't figure that out. There's plenty of people that could figure out suicide, and we have to leave it up to you that you aren't doing it. But I want to, then I don't mean you, I mean you, this other hypothetical person that's addicted and got trapped in addiction. Stop whining about that being imposed. See, because imposition has to do with people that want to remain living. I plan to remain living. That's why it's an imposition if you give or present something in my life. Now, not everybody decides they would want to not live. So, if you are going out of your way to stop them from coming into being, you say that's not an imposition because they didn't even exist. That's like saying it wouldn't be an imposition on future generations of you know any group you want, but not the whole. If just they went into this program, we'll test it with them, see how it works. No imposition on them because they get to live out their life. No imposition on their future offspring that don't exist because they didn't exist in the first place. So it's kind of like if you get into the game early enough, you can do terrible things, but it won't hold against you, right? If it's indirect enough in time, then you could change the future, and however you change it, it can't be compared to how it would have been had you not changed it in that way and judge that way. Uh, See, I think sterilizing people that are obviously going to reproduce otherwise is definitely affecting those offspring. And I know from current statistics, some of those people would have wanted to live. And I don't understand at all how you guys are saying it's such an imposition unless the imposition is childhood. You had to have a childhood. Because I'm not going to go for letting the children decide, the 10-year-olds, come on. Their brain's still forming, that's like allowing them to build houses or something. I mean, they're growing. Okay, it's just takes a long time for humans. I mean, it takes a lot less time, obviously, for other animals. It's almost like instant, apparently, for some other animals. Boom, adult, larva, adult, boom, very serious transition. Okay, so we have a really long one. And what I draw from that is that that's why we should try to make it good for the keiki. We should try to have the parks and the positive. This is one of the reasons to make a joyful environment for kids. And it can be achieved because even kids in hard times, if you just give them a little bit of that, they're real appreciative. They're like, yeah, well, probably because it's like heroin. But you create a suffering, largely a suffering free. When they do suffer, you help them there and all of this stuff. Now, people like me that also embrace adult life want to allow them to learn how to survive, you know, and so it's some sort of artwork of how you actually support that. You know, when a kid falls down, for my version, if a kid has an emotional sadness, I try to help them through it a lot. Then it's a lot of let's eat candy or go to a movie or whatever, and for a good reason. Like let's say they had a problem with their friend at school, but if they fall and scrape their knee, I'm like, good one, you know, and so you are trying to, you know, there's going to be some suffering, but you're going to keep it small. Um, and in a way, it's possible in an idealized world that maybe there's no suffering at all, just a few large lessons, you know, like the end of a sitcom. But I think there's some real sadness that where the kids don't expose themselves to extreme experiences. Okay. The point is, you're creating, you know, a good thing precisely because they were brought into this world. And then by the time they're 18, I mean, I believe in an unfettered right to suicide as a social policy and as a family policy. It's like you know, you can have your own culture of no, and as an individual, obviously. I philosophically, I believe anybody that wants to claim to be a philosopher has to have asked and answered the suicide question for themselves and answered. Being ambiguous, being agnostic on it means you can't start your philosophy. Okay. So the answer can be either way. I'm not saying you have to answer one way for it to be a philosophy. Not at all. You just have to have an answer. And you know, my logical analysis of the information I've gotten told me a couple things about that. One, if the reason to leave life is misery and unhappiness. But see, I was one of those kids that I didn't like. I was much more cynical you know, in high school and in college as well, I guess. But and I didn't believe being happy. You know, that's not. I don't aspire to that. You know, you could see fiction where everybody's happy. It's better for satire than reality. I mean, when people are happy, they're fake. If they're doing that all the time, they are covering over their moments. And maybe that's fine for them. They repaint their moments in the colors they can, you know, they know what they're feeling. They can work with it. Maybe. But actually, that's like my more modern view. Back then, it's just like plastic people fake. And so, why would I commit suicide because of some unhappiness when I don't believe in happy all the time? I believe in honesty feels good to me. Feels really good. Telling myself what I really think, facing what other people really think, you know, and all the painful things of where, oh no, people see me that way. Every time I've ever had one of those, it's like, right after, it's like, yeah, okay, there's truth to that. Or, actually, I don't think there is truth to that, but I guess that's what they see, you know, and that's another column. You can try to work on things, or then sometimes just have people have reputations of you because of various things, you know. And there's nothing to bother doing about it. But you can always face how it is they say they feel. You can come up with theories about how they really feel. You can, you know, and it always feels good being honest. And if you're seeking out that, if that's the jolly you're seeking out, that high you get when it's like you have just taken an honest truth, and sometimes it's like, whoa, that was hard to take. Still, it feels great after. They feel great. And when you're seeking that feeling, you know, it starts to get tricky because things just give a little bit of that feeling, and there could be false firings. That's the most dangerous part. It feels like that. And, you know, like watching What the Bleep. Wow, my life has just changed. Wait a second, it was a little bit of crap. So, no, I didn't have that feeling. I like What the Bleep because it's a popularization, but it definitely goes to the phantasmagorical. It misstates a couple things. Also has, you know,